issues affecting animals and pet owners today, how to avoid common problems, and how to extend the quality of life for your cherished companions. As a community advocate, I will also discuss important social issues that affect our city. I plan to showcase organizations and heroes who are doing amazing things to help others. Remember to tune in every Tuesday morning at 10, starting soon.
Do you want to relive the golden days of Stockton? Join Nate Knott on Stockton Alive every first and third Monday at 6 p.m. Tune into thevoiceofstockton.org.
This is a production for the voice of San Joaquin. Porque nos vamos a enlazar con el mero, el gallo de Zacatecas.
That's right, homeboy.
El de Poyá. You got it, homeboy. Ahí les voy.
Dicen que soy poderoso, yo solo soy su amigo. No hace falta averiguar, saben a qué me dedico. Me gusta vivir muy bien, aunque me siga el peligro.
Nosotros somos los Tucanes de Tijuana y nos vamos directamente. Adelante, échale, primo.
Hay que hacer ruido para que se mire la polvadera. Ahí le va. Mi gente le gusta la neta. Escuche en su carro o en su avioneta. Si prefiere mejor en bicicleta o en casa de su suegra Petra. Sin pelos en la lengua. Sin pelos en la lengua. Sin pelos en la lengua. Se escucha la neta. Hay que hacer ruido. Sin pelos en la lengua. Hay que hacer ruido. Sin pelos en la lengua. Para que se mire la polvadera. Sin pelos en la lengua. Se escucha la neta. Es la neta. Una producción del DJ Mix para el nuevo Imperio Enterprises. Radializando. Sin pelos en la lengua. Sin pelos en la lengua. Es la neta. Sin pelos en la lengua. Sin pelos en la lengua. De gallo. Sin pelos en la lengua. Se escucha la neta. Hay que hacer ruido.
For more information on the voice of San Joaquin, go to tvosj.org.
The Voice of San Joaquin and The Voice of Stockton presents Ready for Rescue with your hosts Cliff Debaugh and Ben Sanchez.
Good afternoon, this is Cliff Debaugh, founder of Ready4Rescue, and my co-host Ben Sanchez.
Hi.
Our aim here is to increase the awareness of what to do if you have a crisis at home and you got to call 911, and to increase your knowledge of the many services available here in the community within the health arena. And you can follow Ready4Rescue on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, ready4rescue.com, and Ready4Rescue on YouTube as well. And today's guest is Angelina Mireles, Director of Business Development for Alert Home Healthcare.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well,
It's
tell
exciting.
us about Alert Home Healthcare.
So I am the new Director of Business Development for San Joaquin County and Stanislaus County. We are a home health care agency, and we provide services for home health support in the home. We are almost a 5-star, 4.5-star facility. So that's really important when when patients are looking to make a decision on who to partner with when they go home, and also the hospitals. So our quality measures are really excellent, and that would be through Medicare.gov, and also what is important to a hospital when you're deciding on a home health agency is the unplanned visits to the home, back to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a really good low percentage. I think we're lower than the national and California. So that's important.
What are some of the criteria that sets what Alert Home Healthcare does above another company that's in the same industry?
What sets us apart, we offer the standard physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy. Our niche is behavioral health management. And what that means is we have a psychiatrist that's on our team that will follow patients home. A lot of our population are suffering from mental health issues. And statistics show that they thrive better in a home setting. So that's one thing that sets us apart. And we also offer IV transfusions on a case-by-case basis as well.
And that's done in the home?
In the home, yes.
Okay.
So what we do is we will do the first dosage at home with the family. So the criteria for that is they have to be alert and oriented ×4, which means that they need to know where they're at and what's going on. And they also have to have support, family support.
Okay.
So that's important.
And that's a 24/7 support. So they're not living on their own.
It would be a 24/7 family support. Home health is only allowed to intermittently come into the home. So what we would do is we would give the first dosage, and then we would teach the family how to give the following dosage.
Now, I've got a friend that's in the systems, shall we
Correct.
say. And one of the things that confused me when they were talking about home services and then there was home care, they seem to split that. And can you address that issue for us so people get a better understanding between the two terms?
Sure. What I think you're referring to is in-home services and then home health care. So in-home services is a form of health care that a agency will send their caregivers in, and that would be just to do light housekeeping, med management, and maybe take them to doctor's appointments, things like that. It has nothing to do with their medical needs.
So does that include like fixing meals, grocery shopping, washing machines,
Correct.
doing the laundry?
Correct. Things like that. Home health is a little bit of a higher level of care, which means that our physical therapists come in. If there's any wound care, we have our wound care nurses visit the home. So it's just a higher level of care for the patient who's at home.
And is that something that you have in-house, or is that something that's contracted out?
No, our agency has full-time nurses and full-time wound care physicians that will visit. So that's another unique aspect of Alert Home Health. Our staff, we're not staffing challenged, and a lot of our staff are not per diem, which means they're not working with us on a per patient need basis. We have full-time nurses, so whether we have a patient that they see or not, they're still going to be, on our staff.
Right.
So what's important to us is that we are not staffing challenged, and that's how we strategize. So we do direct hires for our nurses. We do have some, of course, that are per diem, that only want to work on a per patient basis, but we also have full-time nurses that we staff. So
Sounds like there's a lot to your job.
there is. I'm only really the face of Alert Home Health. It's really my support that helps set us apart. It's our clinicians, our therapists. It's our intake clerks. So I have a whole support team, not just myself.
Okay, what's an intake clerk?
So an intake clerk is a person that will be at my office and will handle all the referrals and make sure that they are assigned to a nurse, and the start of care is initiated within 24 to 48 hours of the patient arriving at home.
Is that, is part of that the aligning of services with the personnel and what they do, patient need?
Correct.
Ability is the family trained to take care of whoever the patient is?
Yes.
As well as that part of that setup?
That intake? Yeah, so the intake representative will also, yes, like you said, look at the needs that the patient is needing, whatever the doctor has ordered. If there's only physical therapy, then he will just sign a physical therapist. If there's a nurse that needs to come out, then a nurse will come and see the patient. So, yes, it is based on what the level of care the patient is needing and what the doctor has ordered as well.
Now, when the interesting thing I found, because I've been in this care arena a lot deeper than I even imagined at times, and you're saying doctor now, is that their primary care physician, or as I found out, there's a hospital doctor that passes on what they realize that the patient may need. Thank you. And then, if they come from a skilled nursing facility, there's a facility doctor.
Medical director.
Right. So how does that coordinate with the patient, with having essentially 3 different doctors could be involved?
So from the hospital, it would be the attending physician that is ordering what he feels the patient needs, either at home or at a skilled nursing facility. If the patient's coming from a skilled nursing facility, there's an order from the medical director, and they're only there basically temporary until the patient goes back home and goes to see their primary care physician. So the primary care physician is really the one in control, and has, the logistics of what's going to happen to the patient.
So even though there was these other doctors involved, it reverts back to the primary care physician overall.
Yes. Yeah, that stays the same. Okay. So that's why it's important to always be in contact with the primary care physician, because we will have to report to the primary care physician.
And is that on an as-needed basis, or is there something that's scheduled on a weekly, bi-weekly
basis?
Yeah.
So again, that is based on the level of care the patient is needing. So if it's a patient that is needing to be seen in a week, we will set up an appointment with the primary care physician within a week. If the order is to see the patient a month after the patient gets home, which generally doesn't happen, it's within the 30 days, then we'll schedule that for the patient as well. So we're in constant communication with the whole team.
And you've been in the industry how long?
So I came from the skilled nursing side of it. I've been in the industry close to 2 years. My background is really skilled nursing up until recently. But the thing that for me that doesn't change is the patient care. That's what's most important to me. The home health side of it allows me to advocate, I think, in a more stronger role, because I have more access to a larger team for the patient than when I was at skilled nursing. So, which means I have more contact with the PCP, with the family,
PCP
with the nurses.
Primary care physician.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
With the primary care physician and their team, and then the family, as well as anyone else who's on the team. So
when you're saying about the contact, and I know that at times even though I'm not directly related to this person, I've had to be like the advocate.
Correct.
And how important do you find that you have an outside person that they know the family, but they're not directly involved, and yet the family will listen to them, or there's somebody at a distant family member that they'll listen to as well, that's going to intercede for the patient?
Well, actually, Cliff, that's kind of the thing that's lacking, I think, in our community is from what I see in my experience, is there's no family support for a lot of the patients that come into our world, into home health or skilled nursing. Or maybe I'm talking more about the skilled nursing side of it. Home health, there's a lot of patients that go home alone, and it's important that we are a full resource for them, not just for home health, but for in-home care needs, like visiting angels, perhaps.
Right.
We like to partner with them. They're a really good resource to check on a patient,
Right.
And our other partners, that we are establishing relationship with in the community. So it's important that a lot of the patients are not just seen by us, but by other members of the community as well. So a lot of them are home alone.
Is there a solution for that person that's really doesn't have any family, and maybe their close friends are not able to help them as far as get out and do visitations, but they can reach them by phone? but yet you need somebody on scene to see how they're being cared for, meaning not necessarily at home, but homes included.
Correct.
But in these facilities. Is there any kind of a senior agency here locally that can intercede in that respect?
Well, I am the only ones that I am familiar with that I've done some community work is Visiting Angels, and then also the sheriff has a resource called STARS that check on seniors in the community.
Do they?
Yes.
Oh, thought they were just out there assisting in accidents and finding parked cars that have been in place too long.
No, what STARS actually do is, and I know from Pat Withrow, he actually kind of told me about the program. They actually visit seniors that they know are home alone.
Okay.
And how he put it to me is, if there's a car out there with the sheriff's name on it and it says STARS, and they know that elderly person is home alone, but that community service resource officer goes out to see them once a week, what do you think the community is going to think? If they see a sheriff's car,
they're going to think something happened, right?
No, they're going to see that car there every week and not want to probably hurt that person.
Oh.
Because someone's going to visit them on a regular basis.
Yeah. Now, how does the sheriff's department come in on that?
Trying
to follow the trail backwards.
Yeah, for where like that program, like where's the connection there?
Pat is actually a friend of mine, and I just kind of wanted to see how I fit into how I could be of value to his industry.
But how's the sheriff notified that you got a single senior that doesn't get any visitors?
I'm not real sure how the criteria is that they get involved, but I would imagine that. Checked up on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good program.
We'll have to follow up on that one.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be good.
It's something we didn't know. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
But getting back to the advocacy side, how does one make sure that, and this gets into some of the paperwork, that you're on the paperwork and the physicians or the social services people within like the hospital or the care facility will recognize you as that?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Well, I guess this falls more under the HIPAA side of things.
Okay.
In that they're not going to talk to you about the patient and care and their overall case unless they know that you're on the paperwork.
Well, the discharge planning does come. It's a care team that would discharge and ask so if they know that so when a patient is admitted to a skilled nursing, for example, let's say on the 1st, that social worker will generally start discharging based on the plan of care that the patient is needing. So generally, I want to get away from the stigma of nursing homes or you're going there to pass. That's not how it is anymore.
Right.
Yeah, nursing homes are actually they want to keep it short, and what that means is they want to bring you in, they want to rehabilitate you, and they want to send you back home where they think you'll thrive. So what the plan is usually is you have a care team that when the patient is admitted to your facility, the discharge planning starts immediately. So how I would come in as a home health agency, if I'm partnering with that skilled nursing facility, and I was picked to be part of the care team, and the family has chosen me to follow the patient home. They would bring me in on part of the discharge plan, and we would, work together on what the needs are and what the plan is when the patient goes home. I like to introduce myself to the patients. I like that face-to-face interaction, and I like to ask any questions that they may have because it's an area of life that a lot of us have no experience. So.
Absolutely true, because I've been there, as you know.
Correct.
And one of the things that I ran up against, personally, was that I didn't feel that the person I was advocating for was actually ready to leave the facility in order to maintain the residence or, take care of himself at his residence. And so that, where you end up bumping heads against what the facility's trying to do, because I understand their side, and they're looking at where your insurance coverages are, what you're allowed, how many days you're allowed, and then they're gearing up towards that. You're absolutely right. However, the patient's progress may not fit that
date of discharge.
That schedule. Yeah, right.
And
Correct.
it's like you've got to go. Wait a minute, here's what's going on, and I don't think that's going to cut it when they get home. How do you take care of that?
So that is one of the challenges that the healthcare industry, from the home health side of it and the skilled nursing side of it and the hospital face. You don't want to do an unsafe discharge.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that, chances are the patient's going to bounce back to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're trying to prevent.
Right.
You want to give him the best care, whether he has insurance or it's running out or
Right.
whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, it's what the patient's need is. So if the patient's not ready to discharge and a family member like yourself or a loved
Mm-hmm.
one is coming and appealing that, that would be an option. So you could appeal the discharge.
And that's something
That's what it's called.
that I guess family members don't know, is that they can appeal the insurance company's decisions or the facility's decisions, and that gets you ostensibly like an extra 3 days that could be of huge benefit to the patient while that all is being decided. Is that
Correct.
Is that a true statement
That
most
is a true
families don't
statement.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Most families don't know.
Okay.
Generally, the care team that is caring for the patient is not going to discharge a patient when they're not ready. And we're not going to send a patient home with no needs
Mhm.
if they're coming from a skilled nursing facility.
Right.
Generally, every resident that leaves will go home with home health.
Mm-hmm.
From that point, home health will take over. They're handed the baton, per se.
Right.
And what Alert will do is also offer the resources for the in-home care or any other needs like behavioral health. If we think that the patient's not mentally well, we'll ask our doctor to follow.
Now, when
So-
you've touched on behavioral health a couple of times, and I know that in my case that I was asked to look at different facilities, and it's not something the average person gets to really experience, and then you're having to make a decision for somebody you care about, and you go into these facilities and you see things that you didn't imagine. The amputees, the double amputees, the people that are just early stage dementia, all in one hallway. And it's a psychological part of, do you really want to place your loved one here, and how is that going to function? And then you've got the side when your loved one does go in there on their psychological hit. I've had those conversations as well. Is that something that your company handles when on the other side of that? Where I'm going with this is that when you're discharged and your patient goes back home, they get hit with these mountain of medical bills. I mean, it just stacks up, and they get all confused about it, and it's really kind of depressing for them. Is there that kind of help available through your Alert Home Health Care?
Well, that's a good point. Alert Home Health Care will definitely explain the financial aspect of it, which is very important. The patient must understand what's going on. We want the patient comfortable. We want the patient or the family members to know what's going on financially.
Right.
For us, there are no out-of-pocket costs. We are credentialed by Medicare and Medicaid,
Okay.
the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid.
Oh, that's good.
And we also take a number of other insurance, or managed insurance for this community. So for Alert, we don't usually take a patient and at the end of the treatment, there's an outstanding bill. So so I'm not real sure on the other side of it. Maybe the skilled nursing side is where you're probably experiencing that ton of mountain of bills.
Yeah.
Because that's
Okay.
a different stay.
Okay.
So that's a different type of treatment. So when you're talking about insurances and out-of-pocket costs, there could be an out-of-pocket cost for the hospital because that insurance covers a different percentage, or
Right.
that could be designed differently
Right.
than a skilled nursing stay or home health visits. So for Alert, I can only speak for us. We do
Sure.
not have any out-of-pocket costs
There's
for our
There's not really a
clients.
one-size-fits-all, even though we think that just because we have Medicare or Medi-Cal that fits our situation.
That is so true. But the main thing is it still goes back to patient care. You want to give them the best quality of life that we can offer. So, and it's really what I still can't wrap my head around is there's so many patients from the hospital that go home with no services, no needs. And, you know, what honestly, if we're dealing with a senior citizen in our community, chances are that patient or that client is going to go back to the hospital. It's going to bounce back.
Right.
And I don't get it. I don't get why they are discharged with no services at all. You know, even if, you know, it's just a home health agency just to go check on them for their med management, to make sure they're taking their medication, to make sure they picked up their medication.
Right.
You know, it's something that is a benefit for the patient that's leaving the hospital, and it's also something that they can build their insurance for. So to me, it's just a win-win if the patient goes home with
and you're
health.
talking about the discharge from the hospital. Does that come back to like the social services person there at the hospital?
I think it's the
patient
discharge
advocate,
discharge
planner.
it's
Those are all separate categories, though.
Social services is one department, and discharge planners are, you know, another one. But it's the whole team that discuss that patient's needs.
Okay.
It's always a team. It's not, as far as I know, it's not just one person's decision.
In that situation, does that crop up because they're not really consulting with the patient and getting the information they need?
No, I think it's just a culture more than anything. And I mean, the data, you know, when you go to Medicare.gov and you're looking at the data, because it's public information, and it tells you who's going home, how many patients are being seen by home health and which agencies, and who's going back to the hospital based on the treatment that was given by those agencies. And also the patients that are going home with no needs, no services. So in my mind, I'm thinking that those are the patients that are bouncing back as well.
Right.
So
yeah, probably so.
It's a tough spot.
Can you explain to the public how Medicare.gov works and what information is there that they can use to help their family members get better care?
So what Medicare.gov is, it's a tool that you use to kind of vet your home health agencies and your skilled nursing facilities.
Okay.
So what they do is it's based on a star rating. 5 stars the best, 1 of course is not good. So Alert Home Health is 4.5. It's 4.5 stars.
Okay.
It's just a 4, and then it's
how
like a half
how
a
are
star.
those rated?
So it's rated by quality measures, and the quality measures are split into different categories: patient care, unplanned visits back to the hospital, how many nurses that are on staff for the patients that are on your caseload. So it's really interesting. And Alert Home Health is a 4.5 star agency, and there's not a lot of them out there, not in this community. Yes.
Right.
So we're very proud of that. We've worked hard to make sure that our quality measures are, as high as they can be, and our readmission rate is really low.
So that, as families approach the senior member of the family approaches an age where they may need catastrophic medical care, then the family, whoever's in charge of overseeing the individual, they could go onto the Medicare.gov and find out things about the doctors, the hospitals, the response side.
Yeah, it's a
so
research
they can be
tool.
proactive and have more information instead of being thrown into the crisis.
Correct. So what it's called Nursing Home Compare. When you get into the environment of the Medicare.gov website, you go in the search menu and you put Nursing Home Compare and Home Health Agency Compare, and that's where everything will pop up within a 25-mile radius of the zip code that you enter, and then you can just pick which ones you want to compare and start.
So they can actually use that if they're out of town.
Correct.
And see what facilities are closer to them that are of quality then.
Yes. And what I like to say, because I know there are some skilled nursing facilities that are not a 5-star facility. They could be a 3-star. That's not a bad rating. What I like to do, like I think I told you when I was my former life, when I was doing skilled nursing, I asked you to come in and meet me and tour the facility because I wanted you to feel the energy. Because even though it may not show well on the outside, for me it's important that you go in and you feel the energy and you meet the caregivers that are inside, because most of them are very compassionate.
Right.
They love what they do. They've been there for 20 years, and they're highly qualified to care for your loved one. And that's the best way.
You were absolutely right on that particular facility. It was, the street was really busy out front. And, a lot of noise out front. But when you got through those doors, that noise absolutely went away, and there was a nice courtyard, and there was flowers out there, and it was a nice dining room you're looking at. And then the hallways went out from there, and you got to experience the staff. I got to meet the dietitian, and
you can ask any questions you want before your loved one goes there. So it's important. There's no appointment needed.
Just walk in.
Yeah, you just walk in and say, "I'm here for a tour."
What are some good questions for people that don't know when they go into the facility that they could ask that could give them a good insight into how the facility works?
I would look at their therapy room. I would ask, what is this?
And what would you look for?
What is this equipment for? I think I took you in the therapy room, if you recall, and kind of explained to you how the equipment was based on the patient's needs. So that's important to me. That's what I would do. I would talk to the administrator if she was available.
Yeah.
I would just ask how many nurses maybe are available for every patient. There's a certain ratio. I don't know what the ratio is. I think it's 8 patients to 1 nurse, but I don't really want to say because I'm not sure. And I would just take a peek around the facility. I would smell the facility. I mean, there's going to be times that so these patients, this is their home. So there may be an area that doesn't smell too great, but for the majority, it should not. It should smell good.
Be through the facility.
Right,
yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So that's important, and I would just kind of just see how friendly everybody is, because it's transparent.
Right.
I'm not in skilled nursing anymore, but I know, I still have my my deep relationships with a lot of the skilled nursing facilities, and it's really important to know that they're transparent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, those kind of things follow through not only for the skilled facilities and the convalescent homes, but you want to have that same feeling for anybody that comes into your home.
Correct. So I say my my philosophy on home health care agencies is we are a skilled nursing facility without walls, because we have the same staffing that a skilled nursing facility has. So we have our medical director, we have our director of nursing, we have RNs, LVNs, physical therapists. If we need to get equipment to you for your therapy or anything of that sort, we are available to do that. So except the setting is in your home, which I think is a little bit better because you thrive in your home.
Right.
That's
what they say.
Yeah, that's your comfort zone.
Correct.
Physical therapy, does the therapist bring tools with him?
Of course, whatever is needed. There could be some belts, or whatever the doctor has ordered. So it's really on how the patient can tolerate or what type of therapy the patient's going to tolerate. And as they progress, I'm sure everything changes.
Diet plays a huge role in recovery. Is there dietary advice to the family as far as what the patient needs are, and they also benefit from that?
Yes, there is a diet or an order from the physician how the patient is going to be, if it's a regular diet or if there's a special diet. So yes, if there's a special diet that is ordered, we would educate the family on that, of course.
And are there menus that get laid out so that
for
makes
home
it as
health,
easy as possible on the family member there?
For home health, what we would do is basically educate the patient. The RN would educate the patient and the family on how to feed the patient and what type of diet or intake that the patient is allowed to have. So just There could not even be an order. It could be general, just regular diet.
Just what they normally eat.
Yeah, what they normally eat. So it just really depends on what the doctor has ordered.
So is there a length of time that you normally are in home? What's kind of the average once somebody comes from like the hospital environment or skilled facility into the home that you folks are there?
So generally it's about an hour. When our RN makes the initial visit, she has to spend at least an hour with the patient. So, and then once that's set up, the physical therapist will go out and spend about an hour every other day, because it's intermittently. So.
Right. And it is the average time that that Alert Home Health is involved, is that like a month? Is it 2 months out? What is your average on that for full recovery?
That is strictly based on how the
I know
patient
it's patient
responds.
based, but just
Yeah.
law of averages, say.
So we want to at least see the patient for 30 days.
Okay.
I mean, you cannot evaluate a patient within 2 weeks and say, okay, the patient's doing good now.
Right.
You have to at least see the patient for 30 days in order to get an idea if the therapy should continue. I don't know. I'm not an RN or a clinician.
Yeah.
So I just know from my experience what the average is. But yeah, it would be based on how the patient responds to the therapy and, whatever healthcare he's getting at home.
Yeah, the ever-present how the patient responds.
That is so important, because that's going to dictate what the plan is.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that they come out of the whatever facility they're in, hospital or whatever, and then they get home, and if they're alone, it really gets to be an interesting challenge for them, because they've got to keep themselves motivated.
Correct. That's where the behavioral health management, I think, plays a important role. When you're going from a 24-hour facility, whether it's the hospital or skilled nursing, and someone is waking you up and saying it's time to take your pills, it's time to eat, they're rolling you out, getting you ready, bathing you, and you go cold turkey home, and there's nothing there. That's frightening.
Yeah.
That
It really is.
Really, really hurt you mentally. So that's the unique thing about Alert, is we want to check on the patients that are going home that have just come from that type of setting, because we know what they're going to face mentally, and it's just a good idea to monitor.
What are some things that the family can do to help with that mental change, that we're not here all the time and you've got to get back to taking care of yourself, because it's kind of nice like having your own butler, and in essence,
Correct.
nurses, LVNs, CNAs are your butler,
right,
or maid that's there. All of a sudden there's nobody, and you have to realize you have to get back into it yourself. What's something the family can do to assist that person?
Well, what I would suggest is that they contact maybe a senior agency that could visit the patient. I know there's a church here that offers assistance with that.
Really?
I think it's St. Mary's.
Okay.
So my mom uses it. That's how I know.
Okay.
So they take her to some of her doctor's appointments,
Right.
and it's actually a companionship. She comes and checks on my mom, and see how she's doing.
Yeah. Is that something
mentally.
that can be Googled as companion senior services?
Good question.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is. There's really a lot out there that we could help with as far as resources. But who I really want to give a shout out to is Visiting Angels. I know that they're not insurance based, but the good thing about Medicare and some of the HMOs that are out there, they are realizing that a lot of the patients that require in-home care services, which is what you said, grocery shopping, fixing light meals, they're realizing that is a big component to them not going back to the hospital. So they're starting to cover some of those services. So we're teaming up with Visiting Angels.
Is that recent changes in
it is recent.
the insurance rules or federal rules?
Yeah, it is recent. It hasn't gone into full effect. So, it's something that's in the works. But if you're teaming up with a home health agency like ourselves, our component or our partner will be someone like Visiting Angels, who we can team up and say, look, we need you to start visiting this patient. He's home alone, and could use some of your services. So
I know I've had experience with somebody else with visiting angels, and they were such a huge asset to that person.
They are.
And they were very caring. You could call them any time of day, which we did, and somebody answered.
Yes.
That was the important thing.
Wow.
Somebody answered.
That's good.
Yeah,
You
they're
didn't
awesome.
you didn't get a message machine, you know, we'll get to you in the morning. It was, you know, like midnight. And they were more than helpful. So, I mean, it's been a good service from the one experience I've had with it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that might be your next interview.
That might be our next guest.
I was actually looking at their card. Yeah, you're right.
I know the director. I'll call her for you.
Yeah.
So,
but, yeah.
You know, one of the services too that's in the county here is the 211 service. It's a whole information number. It's like 411 where we used to call for phone numbers. I don't know if we still do that or not, but you can call 211 for any question of services in the county. And is your agency on that list at all?
See, I learn something new every day.
Oh,
if it's not, I would like to be on there.
You'd like to be on there.
That's a really good suggestion.
Yeah. It covers the gambit of, you know, gardeners to physicians to
healthcare.
You know, whatever you can think of, they've got a list for it.
Okay, that's awesome.
So that's an added service. Now, in the remaining time here, you're associated with the Mexican Heritage Center as well as on your personal side.
I am a member of the Mexican Heritage.
Yeah, tell us about what's going on there.
Well, the Mexican Heritage does. They host artists every month. So they're really community based. I know you're familiar with them as well.
Yep.
They have a calendar of events for the community. Most of them are free, just to kind of give exposure to the local artists. So it's really a good place to go. And then Terra Coffee.
Of course, yeah, Terra Coffee.
Terra Coffee, yeah.
Terra Coffee.
Yeah, so, you know, we've had this really great partnership with the Heritage Center, and we've been in the center for a little over a year now. I think it was March was like our first year. Thank you. And you know, we, you know, not only are we getting like new traffic and new exposure to people that have never been to the center, but you know, we're also helping promote those artists too, because every month, you know, is a brand new group of artists that are all local that you may have never even heard about.
I know I've been to Terra Coffee, and at times there's artists sitting out there
I
having their
love
coffee,
that.
and
That's
and
so
they're
cool.
doing sketches of customers that are there.
Freehand,
You know,
yeah, it's awesome.
So yeah,
they can do their sketch.
as far as I know, every Tuesday and Thursday, it's John and Bob.
John and Bob.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, that are both out there, and you know, if you're willing to do that, then you know you can sit down and model for them, and they will draw you. And if you would like to donate to them, you know, for that, they do that. They're also part of a art group. I can't remember the art group off the top of my head. I want to say it's Art Expressions.
Robert Kelly?
Yes, yeah. Robert Kelly's group. So every Wednesday they meet, not there, but they meet at a church off of, what's the church they meet off of, Gov? Do you remember offhand?
Is it over here?
I want to say it's over there on...
Presbyterian?
Yeah, I think so. And so actually, John, I was just speaking to him next month. They will be featured. They will
June
be
7th.
Yeah, they will be the featured artists. So all their sketch work will be, you know, on the wall.
And anyone's invited, I think, to come and
that's all free.
Showcase their talent.
Yeah.
And that's
amateurs,
free to the public.
beginners, yes.
So it's really cool.
You bring your own, I think you bring your own.
A really cool group of local artists that, you know, a lot of obviously Robert Kelly, like, you know his work, you know of him. Yeah. Like when you see his work, you just know he's just one of those guys. And he's come back here. He's done so, you know, well out there in the art community. He's come back to kind of, you know, get these artists and kind of show them different things, techniques and things. And, you know, there's video work of him like talking. And so it's really cool. Like he's giving back to the art community and showing us kind of what he's done.
So do they do coaching as well? If you want to
learn
how to draw,
I'd imagine anybody can really kind of sit in there and you know, I've met a lot of those artists and I've gotten tips from them. You know, Nicole, who was, you know, we know she was a curator at the Hagen at one point, is now part of that group, and she's definitely helped a lot. You know, just not just with technique, but like just in support, like mentally. Sometimes as an artist, you're just kind of like, I put my art out
therapy.
there, and it's really great therapy.
Another form of therapy. We don't have that on our list.
Or you put something out there and it's not doing as well as something else, and then you kind of get down on yourself as an artist. But those people are there really to give support, and it's really great for that too.
I know it's comfortable to go in there.
Yeah,
it is.
You know, the Terra staff is really friendly, and you can, you don't have to sit at the table. You can walk around and look at the art on the walls.
Yeah, and of course, at the end of every month, last Friday of the month, we're doing open mic night. So we welcome any local musician, or anyone that wants to do spoken word. We've had a plethora of people just come through and perform. So we're always excited. That's open to anybody. That's, of course, the last Friday of the month, 6 to 10.
Till 10?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Those people love to party.
Yeah.
And they love coffee, right?
That's why they're there till 10.
Yeah. So, we're also doing that as part of the center as well, to try and drive people there. So that's just another component of that, right?
Help develop
that's
the downtown.
Awesome. Yeah. Gracie Madrid is the president of the Mexican Heritage, and she's really been instrumental in helping with the artist here in Stockton.
Absolutely. And a shout out to Saul too, who's got a studio there, if you ever just want to swing by, and he's got a lot of great work there, and he's also got a committee together to put new events, kind of showcase more downtown.
Now you said he has a studio there. Is that
it's on the second floor?
Oh, that's why I missed it. I don't get upstairs all the time.
Yeah. So you can definitely go up there, and if he's not busy, he gives people little tours of his. It's great space. It's amazing space.
Yes, it is.
That's where kind of Bob and John hang out too when they're not, sketching people on stage. They're all working. They're doing really a lot of great work for this upcoming festival. The Day of the Dead festival in September.
Awesome. Day of the Dead was like after Halloween. Am I mistaken, or is there a special?
November 2nd.
Is it?
I think.
Oh, okay. Well, last year it was in September, so I was there last year for that. So I don't know.
My mistake.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't give you a hard date on that, but I know that they're working to put out some information soon.
We'll get updated on that one, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, see, Gub's on it.
He's gonna Google. It's gonna Google.
So going back to Alert Home Healthcare. So one question I wanted to know is, how are people finding you?
So I am developing this territory. Alert Home Health, let me give you a little background, has been in business or in the home health industry for 11 years. Irene Pauly is the CEO, and she's really developed her organization in Stockton and in Dublin, which is where corporate is, our corporate.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm the new director of development, and I am using my community relationships at the hospitals and the skilled nursing facilities, and bringing them and introducing Alert Home Health to them. So
great.
We've already been established for some time. So we work very closely with a lot of the board and cares here, a lot of the independent living agencies. So we're well accomplished in that area. So
okay.
Yeah, we're excited to. We're on Murray Drive. We have not opened up yet. We will be having a ribbon cutting. Correct.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So
cool.
Maybe I could come back for that.
Yeah, you should.
Advertise that.
You should. And then, we have the website on there, but can people find you on social media, or where else can they find you?
Alert, just the website would be appropriate, and then my phone number is, or the office number to directly contact me. I'm always available. This is not an 8 to 5 job, as you know, is 209-594-5980.
Okay.
And
So
that's how to get a hold of me.
You can find them on the website, and of course the phone number as well, and then of course we're all over social media, right, Cliff?
Oh yes, we are.
October 26th. Okay, so that's Day of the Dead.
Oh, for the celebration? Oh, sorry about that. That's my phone.
Yeah, see, all day, right? They just
all
called.
Day, they just called. See how anxious they are to get a hold of you? Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's working.
It all works. Yes, you can find Ready4Rescue on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, ready4rescue.com. That's a numeric 4.
Yes.
For
That's
rescue.
right.
And we also have our own YouTube channel, Ready4Rescue as well.
Absolutely.
And we thanks folks for listening today. and hope you enjoyed the show.
Thank you for having me.
Mireles as our guest from
Yeah.
Alert Home Health
Looking forward to more, and of course the ribbon cutting. Let us know when that happens so we can come check that out and help promote that too.
Most definitely.
Great.
Thank you
again
for having
your
me.
time. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.